I am Jeff Knisley. I'm at East Tennessee State University, which is a regional university of about 14,000 students. Several colleges. We have an emphasis on the life sciences at our campus. Our student body comes mainly from the area right around the university. They are not that well prepared mathematically, and so a major component of what we do is try to remediate and get them comfortable with mathematics at the university level. We realized that we as a department needed to move in the direction of using more technology, and so we evaluated several different available platforms at that time, and for us the one that was most natural to use with our students was Maple. And the reason that we chose Maple was for several reasons. You can never underestimate the simplify command and how powerful that is, even at a very low level. The ability to use sign as SIN and parentheses rather than some strange, computer sciencey sort of notation, and then, everything that they did with Maple looked, for the most part, like what they were doing and seeing in a textbook. And that's a huge plus when you have students who aren't necessarily ready for, abstract notation and abstract mathematics both. Our student population is both unprepared, but we get some very, very talented students. So we really, first off, we needed, at the time we decided to go with Maple, we needed a software platform that would be very accessible across a broad spectrum, but then that would allow students to move and do very advanced things, because some of our students come in with very poor preparation. However, once they have the preparation, they realize how capable they are, and they're ready to do some advanced things. And with Maple, they can start out at a very low level, seeing things in a natural notation, and you wouldn't believe how powerful the simplify command is. I mean, if you bring a student in and they've struggled throughout high school, and the thing they dread the most, for instance, is proving trig identities, and you put this awful looking trig expression that looks just like something out of a book, and then you just hit it with a simplify command, and there's the other side of the identity they're trying to prove. And then if you can show them how to start doing it, step by step, and they begin to see that mathematics isn't something out there. Mathematics is something that you use to solve problems, to generate algorithms. And once they become comfortable with the idea of mathematics as it really exists, and I think that's one of the real strong points about Maple, is it really is a mathematical software system, not an engineering system that had math thrown into it. And for math students, that's hugely important, because they're coming at math from textbooks, from high school classrooms, from situations where if what they're doing with technology looks significantly different from what they're doing in their classrooms, then there's going to be an immediate disconnect, and you're not going to be able to overcome that. One of the things that first drew me to Maple, I have to preface this just a little bit. My first experience with Maple was not necessarily academic. We were actually looking at a piece of software that we could use not only to work with students, but also that we could do some research type things that we were interested in. So I used Maple to do things. I use Maple for, I've written several neural networks in Maple. Almost all my undergraduate research students know that when they work with me, they're going to be doing something with Maple. And the reason is because Maple seemed to have from the beginning, ever since I've known it, it coordinates the symbolic side with the rest of the computing in a kind of a seamless manner. So for instance, I can give a student a rotation matrix as cosine theta, negative sine theta, cosine theta. Then we can play with that as a general form. And then we can put numbers in for theta, and now we have a numerical network, the numerical matrix. And so we don't have to switch from this thing to that thing to this thing. When you get into the very computer science-based and engineering-based, you do an awful lot of just changing from one form to another form, and students are working with this and suddenly get an error, this is not floating or this is not int, and you don't have those sorts of issues when you work with Maple. Before the advent of computer algebra systems, pretty much everything was a single object, a matrix of numbers or a vector with numerical components. With a computer algebra system, you can talk about general forms of things. And that gives you not only a lot of flexibility to work with students, but it gives you huge flexibility as an instructor. One of the things that I like very much about Maple, and I actually gave a talk about this earlier today, if you've got a group of students and you want to assign a project to work on externally, then in all likelihood they're going to work together no matter how much you say you can't work together. So the only answer is to give every one of them a different problem. Well, how do you give every single student a different problem? Well, you don't define the problem specifically. You define it as a computer algebra problem, which means you define the form of the problem. And then they actually use their student numbers to generate the actual numbers that go into the problem itself. And then I say, go ahead and work together, because everybody in the class is doing a different problem. They don't even necessarily have the same outcome. So I can set up a problem. One of the problems that I like to do is with networks and linear algebra with networks, like a Leslie matrix model. And I can give every student a different Leslie model, some of which will have a species, a dominant eigenvalue which is less than 1. That species is going extinct. Some will have a dominant eigenvalue larger than 1. That species is going to grow exponentially. And they don't know which situation they're going to get. All they know is that they've got to solve a problem, and their problem is not necessarily the same as the problem of the student next to them. Not even the answer is going to be related. And that's a huge component of what I do with Maple. Is another thing that I like to do that they really enjoy. As a matter of fact, some of the guys go out and videotape themselves. Is some NC State researchers did a numerical study, well, a computational study, and determined what the perfect free throw is. And so what are the characteristics of the perfect free throw? And I tell them what the characteristics of a perfect free throw is, and then in my multivariable calculus course, they have to kind of try to recreate a perfect free throw using multivariable calculus. Then, as their assignment, I give each one of them a different set of parameters, and I tell them, if you want to go videotape yourself and figure out what angle do you launch, how fast are you releasing the ball, how much is it spinning, what's the maximum height that it reaches, then you can come in and see how close is your free throw to the perfect free throw.